Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into something really fascinating, the skin-sugar connection. We're going to unlock the surprising link between what's on your plate and those mysterious dark patches that can show up on your skin.
All right, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen these dark, kind of velvety patches on your skin? Maybe on your neck or under your arms, and you're just like, what in the world is that?
Well, believe it or not, the clue might actually be sitting right there on your dinner plate. It's this wild connection that starts with what you eat and can literally show up on your skin.
Okay, so how does this actually happen? Let's get into it. The whole thing gets kicked off by a trigger, and it all begins with a spike.
You know, it all starts with something we do every day. You eat something sweet, or maybe something with a lot of carbs, think pastries, white bread, that kind of stuff. Your body breaks it down into sugar super fast, and boom, you get a big spike in your blood sugar. It's a totally normal thing, but it's what kicks off this whole chain reaction.
All right, so your blood sugar is high. Now what? Well, our bodies are pretty smart. They have a built-in response for this exact scenario, and that brings us to the insulin rush. So to really get this, we have to talk about the main character in this story, insulin. Insulin is this super important hormone your pancreas makes. Its job is to help your cells soak up all that sugar from your blood to use for energy. It's kind of like a key, you know? It unlocks your cells so the sugar can get in. When everything's working right, it's a beautiful system. But, and this is a big but, this is where the plot thickens. What happens when that system is just always on? When it's working too hard for too long? That's when things start to go sideways.
So, what's the deal? Why would your insulin levels get so high in the first place? Well, it's usually one of two things. First, if you're getting those blood sugar spikes all the time, your pancreas is just working overtime, constantly pumping out insulin. And second, something called insulin resistance can happen. That's when your cells basically start to ignore insulin. They become less sensitive to it. Either way, the result is the same. You end up with way too much insulin just hanging out in your bloodstream all the time.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. With all this extra insulin floating around, a very strange thing starts to happen on a cellular level. You could almost call it a case of mistaken identity. Okay, so think of it like this. Normally, insulin has its own special parking spot, right? The insulin receptor. It fits perfectly. But when there's just so much insulin in your blood, it's like the parking lot is full. So the extra insulin starts looking for other places to park. And it finds a spot that looks really, really similar, the IGF receptor. That stands for insulin-like growth factor. Now, this receptor is meant for cell growth. So when insulin binds to it, it's like using the wrong key in a lock that just happens to fit, and it turns, kicking off a process it was never meant to start.
And guess where this little mix-up happens? You got it, right in our skin cells. Specifically, we're talking about keratinocytes and fibroblasts. These are the essential little guys that build our skin. So, when that insulin accidentally parks in the growth factor spot, it sends out a message. A really powerful but totally wrong message. The science says it best, really. It basically tells those skin cells to reproduce at an abnormally fast rate. The growth switch just gets flipped into overdrive by mistake.
Okay, so we've followed the journey from your food, into your blood, and all the way down to your cells. Now, let's bring it full circle and see what this all looks like on the outside. This is the skin's reaction, the part you can actually see. What happens next is like a little domino effect right on your skin. First, those cells start multiplying like crazy. Then, all these new cells start crowding each other, which makes the skin physically thicker. And finally, all this activity also signals your body to ramp up its production of melanin. And in case you're wondering, melanin is just the natural pigment that gives your skin, hair, and eyes their color. So more melanin, well, that means a darker color. So you put all those pieces together, the skin getting thicker from all the extra cells, plus the darker pigment from the extra melanin. And what do you get? That dark, velvety patch of skin. We've cracked the case from the beginning. But here's the really important part. What's the bigger takeaway? It's about learning to listen to what your skin is trying to tell you. Because this isn't just about skin, not really. It's a window into your overall health. And that's the key connection right there. These dark patches, they are so much more than skin deep. Think of them as a visible alarm bell for a hidden problem, chronically high insulin. It's a major sign of metabolic stress, something you see a lot with conditions like prediabetes.
Your body is literally using your skin to send you a message.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. If your skin can be such a clear window into what's happening with your diet and your metabolism, what else might it be trying to tell you? Something to consider. Thanks for tuning in.